Leftists and secular government officials have no tolerance for biblical Christianity, so they're using COVID as an excuse to shut us down. We have to stand firm on the reality that the church is essential.
Pastor John MacArthur there of Grace Community Church in Los Angeles last October, making the case for openly defying California's ban on indoor gatherings, including religious services. Despite facing numerous citations, the church held indoor services, eventually filed a lawsuit claiming the restrictions violated people's religious freedom, and they won. The state of California, County of Los Angeles have agreed to a $400,000 settlement with the church. 400 grand. Pastor John MacArthur joins us now. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, sure. No, it's Rob, actually, but no problem.
Rob, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We all sound the same. In a letter to your congregation, you called this settlement a monumental victory for Grace Community Church. Tell me about what it feels like to win that battle.
Well, I mean, it's a David and Goliath story. We went up against the state of California. Our original lawsuit was against Governor Newsom. So we were dealing with the state, we were dealing with the county, we were dealing with Los Angeles, we were dealing with the health department. And I mean, it's stacked against us every way you could possibly look at it. They had two angles on the case. They could prove that we didn't have the protection of the First Amendment, or they could prove that somehow because we were meeting, we were creating a COVID outbreak. So those would be the two bases on which they would go to court and win. As it turned out, they couldn't prove either. They couldn't get past the First Amendment, and they couldn't prove there was ever any outbreak with 5,000 people meeting on Sunday, no masks, no distancing, no nothing for about a year. And that there was, the health department said there was never a traceable outbreak of COVID. So we were sort of a living illustration of kind of the God-given immunity system that works best when people are together rather than when they're separated. And once we saw that the statistics with regard to COVID weren't what they told us they were going to be, 99% of the people in California were going to survive that, the church needed to be the church. And so we trusted the Lord to get us through. And at the end, they came to us. We said, look, we're going to depose the health officials, getting ready for a trial. And there was a panic because they didn't want to have to tell the truth in a deposition about what the real effect of COVID in California was. So they said, okay, we'll settle this thing. And the state came up with $400,000. The county came up with $400,000. They had to pay $1 million to their own attorney. So it cost them about 1.8 to get in and out of this. And for us, it was just tremendously encouraging because we met as a church. Our church literally exploded over this period of time with many other churches being closed. Wow. And it got bigger and bigger as the weeks and months went along. And our people realized they were healthy.
Yeah. To the critics out there that say you're risking people's lives, they say it's a pandemic, you're packing people into a church, you're going to spread a virus, you're going to kill people doing this. What's your response?
Well, the health department wouldn't admit that. They would not want to be brought into a tribunal where they would be deposed and have to say that something that was going on at Grace Community Church led to an outbreak, because that just did not happen. Did people get COVID? Sure. And some were symptomatic and some were asymptomatic. And we kind of think it went through the church in maybe December and January in kind of a normal fashion. That we didn't have an unusual number of deaths that could be traceable to that. So that there was just no basis to win the case against us. And in order to even get to the issues of the case itself, they would have had to get across the First Amendment, and that was just too daunting.
Yeah. I mean, we all remember the stories. I mean, we're sitting there watching Costco's open, Costco's packed, you know, the grocery store's open, the grocery store's packed. You can have a march outside with, you know, people packed all over each other, and hell, even the mayor's going to show up to it. But you better not go to church. And that really bothered a lot of people, and you fought hard. Pastor John MacArthur, Grace Community Church in Los Angeles. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you, Rob. My pleasure.